Today we're going to be doing a review on the Alfawise U20. There's a lot of hype out there about this machine. A lot of people are saying it's the Cr-10 replacement. Some are even calling it the Cr-10 killer. So let's go ahead and get this taken out of the box, put together, and then we'll find out for ourselves. Hey everybody, my name is Vijay and welcome to Santube 3D Printing, your best resource for all things 3D printing related. Or so I like to believe. This channel is basically here to help out all the newcomers to the 3D printing industry who are part of our community now, with videos such as how-to, tutorials, troubleshooting, mainly troubleshooting, installations, upgrades, and product reviews as well, just like what we're going to do today. But before we get started, for those of you that are new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It's that little small icon on the bottom right of your screen. And also, for those of you that are interested in this printer, check out the links in the description down below. Now, with all that said, let's go ahead and jump right into today's video. Alright guys, before we get started, I was lucky enough to get two helpers for today's video. I introduced to you the two world's greatest little helpers out there. First one is Shyla, and the second one will be Navya. Say hi, guys.
Hi!
So I got my box, I got my two little helpers. Let's go and take a look inside and see what we got.
These are all the tools and this is the control box. That is the gantry.
Yes, it is. The gantry.
This is the bed assembly. This is the glass. In the box you get is a spool holder and the tools, the power plug, and the USB plug. These are the brackets and the delimiter switch. USB with the card. This is the yellow filament.
So the manufacturer claims that you can have all this assembled within 5 minutes.
We're gonna put this to the test. We're gonna put this to the test. Let's go. Let's go!
So let's go.
Before we start, we want to make sure all the wheels under the bed are tight. And you can do this by turning the wheels, and if your bed moves like this, you're good. Now check the two other wheels. See how that's not turning? That needs to be tight.
Okay. So these are two loose wheels. If these are loose, these are going to be loose on the other side. These are good to go. So all you got to do is just take a wrench to it. Turn it. Now you can see I can do it from this side. And I can do it from this side. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. And there you go. All the wheels have been timed. Now we can continue with the assembly. Okay, so your Y motor is going to be plugged right here underneath. Then you'll notice you have another Y here, which is a smaller plug, which will go right back here. Then these two are eliminated. Then you have your Z motor, which connects down here. And then the last wire, which I couldn't figure out because the label was gone, is your Z limiter switch, which plugs in right over here. Okay, so that's going to be your first set of wires. The second set of wires will be right here. This was not labeled, so I just went through the elimination process. I got my extruder here, which goes right into that. And then I had my X motor, which is right there. So these two are gone. Then I had my X again, and this is a smaller X connection, so that automatically goes there. And then what I was left with is the filament sensor, which I plugged in right there. And then after that, all you gotta do is just connect these two in the back. Your heated bed is right there as well. So that's the wire for that. And then this is all the wires to the hot end. Alright, over here you just have your bracket, just 4 screws. Now keep in mind there is no nuts on these. These actually are pre-drilled right into the rail itself. So all of 4 of these are gonna screw right onto there. Okay, to mount the Z limiter switch and the bracket, which is combined in one, you basically have 4 screws there which are pre-drilled into the rails itself, so it's very self-explanatory on that part. Alright guys, so that's the assembly process of the U20. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and go over some of the features, what it offers. Then we're going to do some test prints, and then after we do the test prints, I'm going to see how the printer really performed based on the experience that I had with it versus what they say on paper. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. So I've done many prints on this printer. I've put it through over 60-70 hours worth of prints just alone. But we're going to do things a little bit different today. Today I'm actually going to tell you the problems I had right when I started. This is very important because if you have any kind of experience like I did, I guarantee you you're going to get failed prints after failed prints after failed prints, and more and more and more. I wasted a whole spool where I could not figure out what was wrong with this machine. Along with failed prints, I got weird things like the filament sensor was not working, the extruder wasn't extruding correctly. When I would auto home, it would go to the back right instead of going to the front left. There was also times where the x-axis wouldn't go past halfway. There was times where it tried to print off the bed. I tried leveling it, I've tried doing extrusion tests, I've tried all kinds of things that I could figure out. So you are going to have problems when you get this printer. If you had any kind of experience like I did, I promise you, you're going to get frustrated and you're going to want to throw this thing right in the trash. But after doing a few research online, I found out that all of this can be fixed with one simple solution. If you just go to their Facebook page, they've actually updated the firmware, and once you update the firmware, all these problems get settled or taken care of. So before you do anything, I would highly recommend that you join the Facebook group and download the new firmware and go and upload it into the control box. And I will show you at the end of the video how to do that. But you are going to have problems right off the bat unless you're getting a control box with the new updated firmware on it. So if you guys are printing and printing and printing and everything's just coming out wrong and nothing's making sense, do that first, and then I promise you everything will work perfectly fine. Also, another problem that I had, which I thought was kind of dangerous, was when your print fails, the nozzle would sit there and not cool down. It would stay at the temperature that I had it set at. The bed would stay at a certain temperature that I had set at. This happened to me on one of the prints where I left it overnight. So I was very concerned about that. So that was another big issue that I ran into when I first started printing on this. So after I got all those issues resolved by just updating the firmware on the thing, everything worked perfectly fine. But there was 2 to 3 concerns that I really did have. As you can see here, all the cables, it's not really managed that greatly. It looks like a jungle full of cables. I wish they would have done a better job on this. I personally am not too fond of the way they did it. I really don't like this hard plastic that they have here. I wish they would have gone with some kind of a nylon cloth type of deal, but I mean, that's something I can change out later on down the line. Another concern I had is, if you notice here, the filament sensor. It's actually a little too close to the feeder gears, and the problem I had was one time I actually ran out of filament and it did pick it up, but the filament was stuck in here, so I had to actually remove my Bowden tube and then pull the filament out from the front. Or another way you guys can do it is, if you remove the filament sensor, you can take the filament out from there. So I wish there was a little bit of a gap and that they would have given you some room to take out the filament once it runs out. Another concern I had, or something I didn't like, was I would think by now most 3D printer kits would have the wire stain relief already printed on. This printer did not come with it, which was a little surprising. But I mean, that's an easy fix. You can go and print that online as well. But that is something I just did not like personally. Now, for those of you that didn't know, this printer here actually is made by GearBest. It is an in-house model of theirs. This is the second one to come out of GearBest. I know how some of you feel about them, and some of you hate them, some of you love them. But one thing I do gotta give to those guys, when I had the problems and I went online to download and update the firmware, they are on top of it. They're listening to everybody in that group. They're making the updates according to that, and I believe every 2 weeks or every week in the beginning they had a new firmware out. It was an update. So they're keeping up, they're trying their best. So for that, I do commend them on that. Alright, so we got all the bad things out of the way. Now you know what I don't like about the printer, and all the problems you're gonna have, you know how to fix. So let's go and talk about some of the good things that I really liked about this printer. We're gonna go over some of the features, what I like, and then we're gonna talk about the prints after. Alright, one of the things I liked very much, and of course because of the price range, is the very first thing you notice is, if you notice right here, the build surface. You can actually print 300 by 300 by 400 going all the way to the top, which is a pretty good size volume, just like the Cr-10 is. And then of course you have the filament sensor, which is located right here. Again, I just wish it wasn't attached so closely to it, but it works very well, and it does the job. So I really did like that feature on here. So I was happy that it came with it. Again, I just wish they would have made it a little bit nicer and neater, so it wouldn't be that much pain in the butt in case you did have to change the filament out. Also, another thing I really liked about it was the LCD screen that they have here. I wish it was a little bit bigger, but unfortunately it's not. But as far as the touchscreen, everything works great. There's no issues with it whatsoever. It's a very easy to use menu, which I really like, but you just got to be careful. It depends on what angle you look at it from. Sometimes you get that little shadow effect where it kind of fades in and out. And of course on this printer you can print your standard PLA, ABS, PETG or PETG, and of course you can print wood filament and many other types. Also, another great thing that I really liked about this was the glass is coated with a ultra base or ultra tech type surface, which is held down by clips just like you see here. The prints actually stuck very well, and for those of you guys that have trouble getting prints off, the number one problem is people don't let it cool down. So just let it cool down, and once it cools down you can pop it right off, which I really liked about it. I haven't had any issues. It does not scratch very easily. I just got done printing with this. I put it up, but that one I had the bed level too close. But besides that, I mean, there's really nothing wrong with this texture or the coating that they have on here. I think it works very well as far as print removal and how prints stick when it's heated up. And of course, by industry standard, it is an all aluminum frame. And that is basically what you find on most 3D printer kits in this price range. But one thing I really did like about it was everything here was actually powder coated, so it was painted. Someone actually took the time out to actually paint everything, which I really like because it makes it stand out a little bit with the red and the blue, and of course the all black frame that you have on there, which is pretty cool. Filament feeder here, it looks like it's built very well. It's not made of plastic, it is actually made of metal, which I really like. And it has a little grip right here, which makes it easier to move back and forth. It's pretty stiff, so I don't see this going out. I feel like they used really good parts on this one when they made it. So this is something that does not need to be upgraded. And I know on the Cr-10 they actually have the plastic assembly, while this one is all metal, which I really liked. Alright, and the last two things that I really liked about this printer was, one, of course, it has a standard 0.4 nozzle like everything else out there. But the power supply is a 24 volt power supply, so it's easier to get your temperatures up faster and to keep it at that high level without any issues. So I did really like that as well. Now, with all that said, let's go and talk about the prints, and after that we'll compare it to the Cr-10 to see if it's even a contender. So Of course, after you have all the fiasco in the beginning and you do the firmware update, which I'll show you later how to do, the prints, I was actually pretty surprised. It came out fairly well. Most of these are with just the standard Cr-10 settings from Cura, and I think they came out pretty good. This one was my very first one. It wasn't that great, but this is just a Michelob Ultra koozie that you can print. You can get it off Thingiverse. For those of you that are Destiny fans, I haven't cleaned any of this off yet, so you can take a look. It came out pretty well. This is just the ghost from there. It's actually a keychain. I did multiple prints on that, and of course, you know, I print my little Marvins just to test them out, how well they print around on curved areas. And then of course I printed this little bullet, which actually I believe is a default file that comes with it, an STL file that you can print, or the G-code's already there for it. And this one came out pretty good. I actually do like it very much. Then I printed this for one of my buddies, Beer Me. I think this was pretty funny. It's supposed to be just a small koozie, but I enlarged it. It's basically a template you can just put on the wall and spray paint it, or just paint through so it just stays there. But this one came out pretty good as well. I got no complaints about this one. But once I switched over to my profiles instead of the Cr-10, they started coming out very well. I printed 2 Batman coasters, again, for my buddies, and they came out pretty well. My favorite one, and this one I just got done, I haven't really cleaned it or anything, is the Darth Vader coaster. And this one came out really well. I don't know if you can see it, but this part right here is so smooth you can't even see the layering on that at all, zero. So I was very happy with that. So overall, I think these prints do very well. I also printed a castle for my daughter, which she unfortunately took with her, so I don't have it here to show. But that one took me about 40 to 42 hours roughly, and that one came out phenomenal. I mean, it was great. So overall, the quality of the prints on this printer I am very happy with. I really like it. I think it does a very good job. So now the question that everybody's been asking on the internet, is this a replacement or a contender for the Cr-10? Short answer, yes. The reason, just the way it's built is very similar to the Cr-10, but there's a few upgrades on here that I really liked. And I wouldn't just compare this to the Cr-10. I actually feel like this machine is in between the Cr-10 and the Cr-10S because of the features that it offers. Let's start with the basics, okay? So the basic, you got metal assembly here compared to the Cr-10, which I'm looking at right now. Some parts are actually 3D printed. So you got the filament feeder, which is all metal. It has a little grip. It's a little bit smoother to print to grab onto. The Cr-10 does not have the filament sensor, while the U20 does. The front part of it, as you can see, is all metal as well. You got the glass part here, which is coated to help keep your prints to stick to it better, and for removal as well. So you don't have to constantly keep putting glue and washing it off or using tape. All that's already there for you. Also, it has the control box is a full colored LCD screen, where the Cr-10 and the Cr-10S actually are push buttons. So in my opinion, I would say this is a great printer. I think the print qualities are amazing once you get it dialed in, and I feel like for the amount right now, it's going for $279 US. Sorry guys, I don't know exactly what the euros are right now on this printer, but it's great. I mean, I for some reason see myself printing with it more and more and more while my Cr-10 is on, and I have this on as well. Now, the only up and downside, this would be on you guys, would be if you're a fan of GearBest and you don't have anything against GearBest, this is their product, so you can only get it from them for right now that I know of, and it's at a good deal. For those of you that don't like GearBest and do like this printer, unfortunately, you just gotta bite the nail on that and just get it through them. I'll put some links down below to where it will direct you to the right page. But As far as the printer itself comparing to the CR10, I would say it's in between the CR10 and CR10S. Everything works perfectly fine once you get the firmware updated, and it's built to last. It gives you great print quality, touchscreen. I mean, for the price, you can't go wrong. So I would definitely recommend this for somebody who's out there looking for a printer at the moment, for their very first printer. I think you can't go wrong with it, and it'll be money well spent. So to update the firmware on the Alfawise U20 is very simple. What you want to do is go into your Facebook, and this is the Santube 3D printing group here, guys. If you haven't signed up for it, go ahead and subscribe. A lot of helpful tips out here. But anyways, you go up to the top right here. You're gonna type Alfawise and just hit enter. It's this group right here. If you haven't joined it, request to join it. Now once you've joined it, all you gotta do is go to the side right here and type in firmware, and once you do that, you'll get these files. Now keep in mind, this is for the U30, so you don't want that one. Just go and scroll down until you get to here where it says U10, 20, and U30. So once you do that, click on this file right here. It'll give you some instructions. Go ahead and click on it again, and it'll take you to this page. Click on the newest version right there. Now for those of you that don't have Dropbox, you can sign in and create one. If you already have it, you can just sign in. But if you don't want to do any of that, just go to download and hit direct download. Once you do that, it will automatically download for you. And once you do that, go ahead and open it up. And there it is. So what we're looking for is these two files here. If you want, you're more than welcome to read the instructions here, and then there's an update log as well. But these are the two files that you're going to need. So what you want to do is close this down, and I'm going to go into my downloads here. Once I open this up, these are the two files I need. Put this to the side. Now go ahead and insert your SD card at this time. Open it up. As you can see, I already have it on there. Now, my word of advice, I mean, this is just me. I delete everything on that card because I don't want anything on there. So I'm going to bring this over. Just copy those two and bring it over here. And once that's done, all you're going to do is go ahead and take this card to the printer, insert it, and turn it on. So as you can see here, I'm going to insert the card that I copied the folders on, and all you got to do is turn it on. And once you turn it on, you'll see two bars get filled up. There's the first one, and after this there'll be a second one, and everything will be done. Now just word of advice, when you use this card again, make sure you remove these two files, because if you don't do that and you use this card every time you turn on your printer, long as the printer recognizes those two file folders that we imported into the SD card, it will keep doing this over and over and over. So once this is done, remove those files and you should be good to go. But there it is. Once I go ahead and X out of this, there's the new menu right there, and you're all set, ready to go. Alright guys, there you go. It's a review on the Alfawise U20. I hope you guys found this helpful. I hope it helped make up somebody's mind on if they would like to get this printer or not, or go a different route. Like always, if you guys have questions, comments, and concerns, go and leave it down below. Again, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Hit that button on the bottom right of that screen. If you'd like to support the channels, there are links down below in the description. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.